good people, it's still me, ERD Stitches. Welcome back to today's tutorial. So in today's tutorial, we're just going to learn how to make ball dress, ball gown. We call it, some people call it ball dress, some people call it ball gown. So we'll start with the cutting, the drafting of the basic and the cutting. Then we'll now move to the sewing. So as you watch, I want to plead that you also help me to press the subscribe button and also leave a comment. If there's anything you notice or observe, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. So let's go to the cutting table. Okay, these are the materials we'll be needing for this tutorial. I have my net here. Actually, I'm making use of veil net because I'm making it for a baby of less than 1 year. But if you're making it for an older child, please, it is advisable you use your 2 nets. That will give you a better result. But this is for a baby of less than 1 year, and I have about 8 years of it here. And this is my lining. Actually, I'm using a doll face. I'm using doll face fabrics for my lining. And this is the net I'll be using for the upper body. And this is my hard net. So now we're going to start. Sorry, I also have my matching zip here and also my matching thread. So now we are going to start by drafting the basic of the half length first. So once we are done with drafting the basic for the half length, we'll move to another thing. Okay, we are going to start to draft the half length now, the basic of the half length. So the shoulder I'm working with is a shoulder of 10 inches divided by 2 is 5 inches. But I'm going to add half an inch for seam allowance. That makes it 5.5 inches. So from this 5.5 inches, I'm going to come down by half an inch for my shoulder slope. Then from this half an inch for slope, I will take my armhole. The round armhole I'm working with is 10 inches. So 10 inches divided by 2 is 5 inches. So I will connect this together to form a straight line now. So I'm going to input my neck width. Because I'm making it for a baby of less than a year, let's say 1 year. So I'm taking 2 inches for the width. Then the back neck depth, I'm taking 1 inch for the back neck depth. I'm taking 1 inch. While the front, I'm taking 2 inches for the front. So I'm going to connect the neck together. Connect the back. I'm using round neck. You can use the neck of your choice. Then I will also connect my 2 inches because this I'm going to use this to draft the back also. So now that I've gotten this, I'm going to input the body measurement. Before I do that, I have to get my half length. The half length I'm using is half length of 8 inches, but I'm going to use 1 inch for my seam allowance. So that makes it 9 inches. So I will also turn this to straight line. I want to make sure that I have 9 inches here. It's correct. So on this my armhole length, now that's where I will input my chest measurement, that's bust measurement. The round bust I'm working with is 20 inches. So 20 inches divided by 4, it will give me 5 inches. Then I'm going to put 2 inches seam allowance. You can put 1.5 or 2 inches or 2.5 depending on what you want. So I'm going with 2 inches. So this is the point of my 2 inches. Then the chest and the half length round waist measurement I'm working with is also 20 inches. So I'm going to input the 20 inches divided by 4 is 5 inches. I'm also taking 2 inches seam allowance. So it's just a straight line that I'm going to connect this way. And this is my bust line. So now I have to connect this, my coming down shoulder slope, to the neck width. So it goes this way. So I'm also going to curve the armhole. So if you don't have a curve ruler, you can use your free hand to do it. So this is it. So now I'm going to cut this out. So I'm going to cut this way from here. When I'm done cutting it, we use it to cut out the fabrics. So I'm going to cut the back neckline first. So I'm going to separate the back from the front before I will cut the front. So I'm going to remove, this is for the back. I've not added the zip allowance. I will add it when I want to cut my fabric. So now I'll cut out the neckline from the front. So this is for the front. So I'm going to use this now to cut out my fabrics. Okay, I'm done cutting out the fabrics. So this is for the front, and this is for the back. I've also added my zipper. You can see where I gave it a notch here, and also a notch here also. I did the same here and also on this side. So I also cut out my lining. I used Doff Face fabrics for my lining. So this is for the front, and these two are for the back. I also gave them a notch to know where my zipper allowance is. Okay, now we are going to cut our net. So this is the width of the net. So I'm going to hold it together this way. This is what I have. Make sure that they are all equal. So I will also do the same to the other side of it. I'll bring it together. Then I'll get the middle of this net now, which is somewhere here. Then I'll put my scissors in it and cut. So I'm done cutting it, and this is one and this is one. So the next thing we are going to do now, we should put one aside and work on one. So I'll bring the two widths together this way. Then I'll fold it like the way we fold our clothes wrapper. So I'll fold it this way. This is for us to be able to cut out the length we want. So I'll fold it this way. I will also fold it this way again. So I'm okay with this now. So I'm going to arrange here now. So I'm done arranging it. You can see it. So what I'm going to do now is to cut out the length we need for this tutorial. So the full length of the gown we are working on is 26 inches, and the half length is 8 inches. So 26 inches minus this is my 26 inches here. This is the half length, 8 inches. So I'm going to add 1 inch to this 26 inches. I'm actually making use of 27 inches. So I want to reconfirm and be sure that I'm on the right track. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out now. So I'm going to cut the second one. I'll check if this will cut another one. It's shorter, so I'm not going to make use of this now. So these two, I'm going to gather it together for one of the two gathered net. So the other one, I will also cut it the same way I cut this as the second one. I'll gather this separate and I'll gather the other one separate. Okay, now we are going to cut our door face fabrics. I'm going to cut it as a full circle. Actually, we are cutting two of this door face, but one will be longer than the other. So this one is the one that I will sew together with my net. So my net, remember my net measurement, the full net I used was 27 inches minus 8 inches. That will give us about 19 inches. So that was the length of the net, 19 inches. So that 19 inches, I'm going to subtract 2 inches to it. So the net is going to be longer than our door face with 2 inches. So since our net is 19 inches, our door face is going to be 17 inches. Now, the round waist we are working with is 19 inches. Then I've divided it with my 6.28, which is constant. That is what we use to get our full circle. So when I divided it with 6.28, I got 3.0. So that 3.0, I'm going to add 1 to it to make it 4. That one is for my zip allowance. So I'm going to measure 4 round now as my radius. This is my 4 here. This is my 4 here. This is my 4. So I'm trying to connect the points together. So this is my radius now. So from this, I will now measure my 17 inches. This is 17 inches. You have to just be moving it round. Okay, I'm done marking out my flare. So I'm going to cut now. First, I'll cut from my radius, but I'm not going to cut exactly from my radius. I'm going to give in like half an inch for as my sewing allowance. So I'm using here as my sewing allowance. Then I'm cutting my flare now. I forgot to tell you, my fabric is folded into 4. It's on 4 folds. So I'm done cutting it out now. So I'm going to cut the second one. Like I said, the second one will be shorter. This will be longer than the second flare. Then the second one, since this is 17 inches, so the second one is definitely going to be 15 inches. So I'm going to open the flare up from one side. I'll do the same to the other one. Now we are going to cut the net. Our second lining was 15 inches, the length. So that's 15 inches. You know that this net reacts on children's body. So we will not allow this net to be touching the baby's body. So we are going to reduce the length with about 3 or 4 inches. So since the length of the second lining that will go with this is 15 inches, so I'm going to reduce this one to 12 inches. So I'm removing 3 inches from it. So now we are going, I'm done folding it. I folded it like full flare also. I folded it into 4 places. So now I'm going to cut out my radius. Remember, our radius is 4 inches. I'm marking the 4 inches round now. So I'm going to cut out the radius now. Remember, we are not cutting from the point exactly. We are giving in sewing allowance. So from that radius, I'm going to measure my 12 inches. This is my 12 inches point. I'm actually trying to hold it down. This is my 12 inches. This is my 12 inches. Okay, I'm done marking around the length of my net. So now I'm going to cut it out. So this is it. I will also cut it open from this end. Okay, this is our net. I've already folded it like the way we folded. This is our hard net. I folded it like the way we folded our net that time. So now I'm going to cut out strips of this hard net that I will use on my flared hard net. Remember, we want our ball dress to be full. So I'm going to measure like 4 inches, and I'm cutting about 5 strips of it. I'll put 3 on the downside and 2 on the upside. So I'm measuring 4 inches now. I'm going with 4 inches. So I'll cut it out. Okay, let me measure. Let me see how many strips I will get from this my folded net now. This is the 3rd one. This is the 4th one. This is the 5th one. So okay, I'm going to cut 6 strips of this hard net now. So I'm trying to connect the points together. So I'm going to cut through all these lines now. So this is our strips of net that we cut out. I have about 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to run a gather stitch on them, but I'm using my hand needle. First I will join 3 together and another 3 together. Then I will use my hand needle and make a gather stitch on it this way. This way. You can use your machine if you want to, but I want to use my hand needle. So this is the way I will do it till I get to the end. When I'm done doing it, I will show you what it looks like. Okay, I'm done doing the gather. Actually, this is 2 that I gathered here, and I gathered 4 on this one. Now that we are done with the cutting of our basic body for this ball dress, and also we have learned how to cut our 2 net and our hard net, and also how to cut our lining. So the next thing that we are going to do is to go to the sewing, which is going to be our next tutorial. We are going to learn how to bring all these things together and sew them to form our ball dress with a very neat finishing. We also learn how to achieve that neat finishing inside. So I really appreciate you guys for watching till the end of this tutorial. I say God bless you. Thank you very much for staying by. So please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Bye.